Hi everyone, this is a quick video to show off how I built a risk management matrix in the New Responsive Designer for Nintex Forms for Office 365. So for those that are not familiar with the risk management matrix, it looks like a grid and it's got the likelihood along the left hand side and the consequence across the top. So if we thought something was likely to happen but it's only a minor consequence, then it becomes a medium. So if you think about an Nintex form, we have to have two inputs that goes and calculates that and gives a response. How we go about doing that is we've got two drop downs here. We've got the likelihood and the consequence. Now what we need to do is actually, when we trigger something, have an output like a label. So we do that by creating a variable. Now I've got an existing one which I've already built before, but I'm going to build one from scratch just to show you some of the functionality that you might need to use. So first we create a variable, we'll just call this temp. And what you need to do is say ifElse, and we'd say consequence is equal to what's an option? Extreme. Sorry, the extreme is the output, so it's critical. And you go ampersand to do and then you say likelihood is equal to, what should we have? Almost certain. Almost certain. Okay, so if those two things are true, I want to do something. So we'll just break this apart a bit more, make it a bit more readable. There we go, like that. And so if that condition's true, then I want it to do something. I'm going to say it's extreme. Otherwise, if it's not true, then it's going to do something else. It's not extreme. Okay, so we've just set it for critical and almost certain. So I'm going to create that. I'm going to put that into my label control here. I'm going to go insert and use my temporary one before we show you the full one. And now, so it's not extreme because it hasn't matched our criteria. Now if we select almost certain and critical, now it's set to extreme. If we change that, it sets it to not extreme. Now we can extend this further by coming in here and saying, well, what if I wanted to do more conditions? Because this has a lot. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 for extreme. So I want to do an OR condition. So if it's almost certain and it's critical, then it's extreme. What about if it's major and almost certain? So what we then do is we come through here and we do an OR symbol like this. And what I can do is actually copy this function here and come down to another line. It's pretty much the same thing. So then we're saying it's critical and likely. So rather than almost certain, we say it's likely. And we can update that and go back to preview. Almost certain, critical, it's extreme. Likely, still extreme. Possible, not extreme. All very good. Now you're thinking, well, how do I get to high, mediums, and lows? Now let's just do the low as a quick example, and then I'll show you the full example I've got. So let's say I want it to be insignificant and rare. So what I then need to do is more nested if statements. And this is where it gets a bit more complicated, but it's not too bad. So we'll just copy this whole statement, and we're saying if these conditions are true, then it's extreme. Otherwise, we're going to do something else. We're actually going to do another if statement. So this is where it falls over. This is where it falls over to the next function, So now we're saying if, and let's just make it a simple one for the moment as you get the concept. So if the consequence is, let's say, rare, it's insignificant and rare. So it's rare and consequence is insignificant. Okay, let's go and see if that actually works. You never know with these things. Not extreme, rare, insignificant, it's extreme. I've done something wrong. Forgot to actually change the text. And it's extreme, it's what's the word? Low. Low. And then it's not low. Okay, let's update that. Preview, so it's not low because it's blank, but it's rare, insignificant, now it's low. Other end of the spectrum, critical. So as you can see here, you could just keep nesting those functions together as I did before. Now if we look at my previously created solution, this gets really quite large. It's very, very big function. So what I'm doing here is if the length is equal to 0 on either of these strings, or both of those strings, then it doesn't give it a grading. I can actually do OR and it'd still be the same thing. And then also I'm just checking, so we've got our first, if it's insignificant, all our combinations for low, as we saw before, all these grid here. But if they don't meet those conditions, then I go to medium. Then there's another if If it doesn't meet medium, it goes to high. And then finally we do our extreme. Otherwise it just says no grading. So that's just our fallback place. So I'll paste this in the comments section just so you have a reference for it, so you can try and build it yourself. But let's go and put in the set the risk profile into our designer. Let's actually update that variable so to make sure it's actually correct with the OR statement. I just saw that error. Let's do an OR statement there. So if either of them are blank, we'll just make sure that it actually happens. So let's get rid of that variable there. Let's put a new one in. Let's go and insert the set risk profile and go to preview. So now straight away it's saying no grading because only one thing has been set. Again, no grading because it's only one's been set. Moderate, now it's high. Major, now it's extreme. Likely, possible, unlikely, low. So if you look at these different grids, we might say let's pick one. Moderate and likely. Let's see what happens. Moderate and likely gives us high. Moderate and likely gives us high. So then you could go on and do a few more things. You might want to style it. For instance, you might want to put bold text or whatever it might be, or it might actually want to put a different image or something like that. You could put images in there as well. It's really up to you. So you can just change those sort of things. It could be sending a message. It could even be setting a field value, for instance. So there's lots of different options there, but that's how I would build a risk management matrix in Nintex Forms for Nintex Workflow Cloud. Sorry, Nintex Forms for, always get this wrong, Nintex Forms for Office 365. So that's how I would do it. You could also do this in Nintex Workflow Cloud. You could do it in 365. It really is the same engine. It's just the new responsive design that's what you want to use. So I hope that's helpful. Let me know in the comments section. Cheers.